Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight and welcome to the Chinese Multicultural Herald newspaper panel discussion on racism and Asian hate with city councillors and police officers. So, since the pandemic, hate crimes and hate incidents against Asians and Asian Canadians have been increased dramatically across Canada and North America, specifically towards the end of March, which is around 2 weeks ago. There were rallies across Canada against Asian hate in large scales, and it is reported in Toronto, 6,000 people joined a rally against Asian hate. So that is really huge. And as Chinese multicultural newspaper, as the first and probably the only simplified Chinese character newspapers in Alberta, we feel it of our responsibility, okay? And also, 谢谢你能把这个大家都设置一下静音嘛。We feel it a huge responsibility for us to help the community to ease the pain, the anger, the anxiety, and such emotion and possible mental health problem brought out. And also, it's the right time for us to learn from professionals, from city councillors, from mayors, from future mayors, and from police officers on how to deal with such hate crime in a comparatively scientific and easy way. So it is our honor to get commitment from city councillors, in a comparatively very short time, ladies and gentlemen. I organized this panel just 5 days ago on April 6th, last Tuesday. And let me introduce our honored guests who really very immediately get committed to this panel. First, I will introduce our panelists, okay, on a sequence order that are committed to this panel discussion. So first, let's have City Councilor Zhang, okay? Probably we can have could you please show Sean's picture? Or if not, we will have Sean. Wonderful. Thank you, Sean, for your commitment. Exactly on April 6th, you are the first guest speakers I approach, because you're not only a city councillor, Sean, you're a city councillor of Chinese origin, and you worked at CPS for a dozen years, right? And secondly, good job, good job, Sean. I will introduce you later on and welcome you to have an opening speech. And second, let's have a city of Calgary Ward 11 City Councilor Jeromy Farkas. Jeromy, did we say some words?
Great, thank you so much, May, for the opportunity to be here. Were you looking for some introductory remarks, or were you going to go through all of the guests?
Let's go through the guests first, and then, of course, opening remarks from all of your city councillors. Is that okay? And then we have City Councilor Tim Campbell, right? From Edmonton, Ward 9 City Councilor Tim Campbell. Thank you so much for joining us. And we just sent the invitation from Madam Xie Yan, right, yesterday. And we immediately got your agreement to join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation. Nice to be here.
Okay, and also everyone, we have the honor, okay, to have the commitment to have police officers from Edmonton and Calgary to join us. They are the hero today, and they will show us how to, protect our families and communities. So we have we have police officer Robin, right? Robin Law. Where are you, Robin?
I'm here.
Okay.
First of all, hello everyone, and I'm on leave, so I'm not representing any organizations or institute. I'm just here to maybe voice out some personal opinion. So it's nothing to do with my employers today, whatever I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Robin, for that specific addressing. And thank you for joining us. And we do value you, you know, like as our friends, as our citizen, as a normal citizen, as a professional police officer, you know. We welcome, especially we have audiences waiting for you to introduce in Mandarin Chinese how to, you know, how to deal with hate crime. We will talk about that later on. And we have Dr. Sally Zhang. Dr. Sally Zhang is the President and CEO of the Immigrant Education Society. And she is really a community leader and a role model, organizing and administering a large-scale immigrant education society in Calgary. Thank you for joining us, Sally. Okay, and we also have, yes, Constable. Now it's time to introduce you, Constable Jonathan Constable Crespo. Are you here, Constable?
I'm here. Thanks very much for hosting me, for having me, and thanks for organizing this, May.
It's our honor to have you, and you will get a lot of questions and requests about police, you know, recruitment and your strategy for increasing diversity inclusion with Calgary Police Service. Okay, now we have all the guests already, and ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to specifically introduce some valued community leaders, okay, from across Canada. So first of all, we have Mr. Ye Jun. Are you here? Mr. Ye Jun from Toronto. Mr. Ye Jun is representing the 中国高校校友联合会，是吗？
Hi, thank you for the invitation.
非常感谢您参加我们啊，还有我们的来自 Montreal 的李小琴老师是吗 ？Are you here？ 李老师 ，Are you here？ Okay, 李老师在开另外一个会 ，probably Miss Lee is on another meeting, and we have Mr. Stephen Jin， 老金大哥 Stephen Jin from Calgary Chinese Union Association. Thank you. Thank you for representing Calgary Chinese associations to joining us today. Wonderful. Okay, and also we have Xie Yan, right? You are representing Tianjin Hongxianghui. And Frank Zhang, the young, talented young heroes from Calgary. He will be co-hosting the panel discussion together with us. Okay, so now everyone, it's the time for us to do an opening remarks. Let's welcome 3 city councilors. First, still by that sequence order, word for Calgary, word for City Councilor Sean Chu is the first one to agree to join our meeting. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for being here today. And I just want to acknowledge my colleague, Councilor Farkas, and also Edmonton Councilor Cartmell. Thank you for being here today. And I just want to say, better now. I just want to say, to me, is very sad to hear there's so many hate crime against Asians. We are Canada, we're a multicultural country. And the fact that myself being elected shows that we are very tolerant. And what's been going on, because COVID is started in Asia, and that's why we are a lot of people and don't like the fact that it started there. And on top of that, I believe by other different country are having the issue with China and make this situation even worse. And I just want to let you know that any kind of racism, and as a city councilor at the whole city, we will not tolerate that. And we have anti-racism policy right now, and we will work together to make Calgary a better place. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councilor Zhang. Thank you very much. And we will have a good city with so many, citizens, good citizens, and the city councillors like you. You have this real. Okay, now let's welcome City of Calgary Ward 11 City Councillor Jeromy Farkas, also the 2021 City of Calgary mayoral candidate, young, talented, and very well achieved at comparatively young age. Let's welcome Councillor Jeromy.
Great, thank you so much, May, for the invitation. I just wanted to acknowledge as well my elected official colleagues, as well as colleagues from the Calgary Police Service who are here today. So May, I was saddened, but also honored to be part of this panel tonight. Being able to bring this difficult yet vitally important topic out of the darkness and into the light is so critical at a time like this. Not only to learn from our past mistakes, but to ensure that we can move forward and do better for each other as a community. So myself, growing up in East Calgary in the community of Dover, I spent my childhood surrounded by friends and classmates of all cultures, ethnicities, and languages. Looking back, I'd feel so fortunate to have been exposed to different cultures from such a young age. I was so lucky to spend many meals at the dinner tables of my friends whose parents emigrated here to make a better life, not just for themselves, but their families and for their children's. I would listen to their stories, many of them deep in sacrifice, even tragedy, but they were always built on a foundation of determination and hard work. My own father, he arrived as an immigrant and a refugee, and English was not his own first language. My experience as a child left me really in admiration of these immigrant families, many of them refugees like my own grandparents. So these families, they came to Calgary to build something better, just like my family did for me. And like me, many of my childhood friends were the first in their families to earn an education and achieve only because of the sacrifices of our elders. So these childhood experiences are a big part of what inspired me to run for public office. And I want to represent all constituents, to stand up for all Calgarians. When I hear from many of you these powerful, candid stories about your experiences, I am so deeply moved. I can't pretend to know your hurt or to know your pain, but I want you to know tonight that I am listening to everything that you say tonight, and I do stand with you. I do stand for you and against racism of any kind, today and every single day. I love the diversity that has made Calgary what it is today. Our city is one of the richest cultural tapestries in this entire country, from our small businesses to fabulous restaurants and cultural celebrations. I don't know what Calgary would be without our Asian heritage as Calgarians. So thank you, May, and thank you as well to the many distinguished guests and the associations that are represented tonight. Thank you for having me here today to be able to listen, to learn, and to take your lived experiences with me so that I can bring your voices to the table, to be better, to do better. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here and listen tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeromy. Very well said. Thank you for standing for us and standing with us tonight. And we know you're also from an immigrant family. And so you have that kind of, deep understanding of the diverse community. And we are so glad to have you today. Okay, now next, let's have Edmonton Ward 9 City Councilor, Mr. Tim Cartmell. Mr. Tim has always been giving back to the community, and it is always part of his life, right? For over 3 decades of community volunteer experience, like Mr. Tim and his families have, like they have been doing various like community league roles, and also including coaching minor hockey, right? That's interesting to know. So welcome you, Mr. Tim.
Well, thank you very much, May. Thank you for including me tonight. Thanks also to Jan for extending the invitation yesterday. And I would like to also acknowledge my colleagues on the call tonight, Councilors Chu and Farkas, and Councilors Chu and Farkas, and Constables Crespo and Lau. I will echo the comments that others have made just briefly. I think that we pride ourselves in Canada, and I know we pride ourselves in Edmonton, on the multicultural aspects of our city, of the mosaic of cultures and peoples that make up our city. Edmonton prides itself on being a festival city where we celebrate all of the different cultures and peoples and perspectives that make up our city. And I think generally that we have a very peaceful and positive coexistence. And building a little bit on Councilor Farkas's comments, you know, he spoke a little bit of his experience with immigrants that came to Calgary, but, you know, Calgary and Edmonton are pretty young cities in the big scheme of things. All of us can trace our origins to peoples that have come from away, from ancestors that have come from different places to form these communities over a relatively short period of time. My great-grandfather came to Edmonton in 1923, which is not really all that long ago. And so from that perspective, we really should be all in this together. It is disheartening to hear when parts of our community express racist comments and racist behavior towards other parts of our community. There's really no place for that. There's no tolerance for that. And I too am really intent on trying to find solutions to these challenges. I think that the recent pandemic has caused some people to behave very badly. They're, quite frankly, I think, lost and looking for someone to blame, and that's resulted in some bad behavior. But I don't think we can chalk all of these experiences up just to what's happened during this pandemic. I think that there's work to do in our communities to increase tolerance, to come to shared understandings, to exchange viewpoints, and really to learn more about each other and to be welcoming of those learnings to create a better, more positive city for all of us. So I'm really thankful for the opportunity to participate tonight, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from all of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Councilor Cartmell. I love you. You're saying what you're saying in the speech. Really, let's work together to create that kind of a positive, positiveness, right, for everyone, for every city across Canada, specifically during the pandemic. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, and after the welcoming speech, I would now introduce Mr. Frank Zhang, who will be co-hosting the panel discussion. It's time for us to start the panel discussion right now. And as Councilor Jeromy, Councilor Cartmell, you're both really highly, occupied, especially you have been starting your candidates, right, for your ward, for your city in another round. So we will have the first 1-2 questions specifically for city councilors, and some of them may have to leave a little bit earlier. Okay, now Frank, are you here? My co-host? Let me introduce Frank Zhang, okay? So Frank is a banker, a mortgage broker, and works for TD Canada Trust, and always the top mortgage broker, not only across Calgary, Alberta, but across Canada. I know that. He's a community leader and a major campaign organizer, specifically for UCP government and the city council. I'm happy to have him today to co-host the panel discussion. Frank? Show us your lovely face, and let's start shooting questions now to our councilors and police officers. Okay, so if Frank may not be here at the moment, or he may have some tech problem, let me ask the first questions. Okay, so with the panel discussion, we would like, seriously, the first question we would like city councilors and police officers to discuss is to explore racism abuses and racially motivated hate crimes that all citizens in Canada are protected against by the laws and human rights charters in Canada. Could you please give some specific information, Councillor Sean?
Thank you, May. Yes, hate crime, and I don't want to speak for the police, but I do know that hate crime is under Charter of Rights, and we're supposed to treat everybody equally, and we're not supposed to assault anybody. So I do encourage everybody, please report of any crime. And when I was police officer, and we know that the study shows that a lot of people from specifically the Chinese community, Asian community, we are not reporting a lot of crimes for many reasons. Language barriers, one. Secondly, it just, in a way, is our growing up. It's just, well, you just don't do it. You always keep to yourself. So I encourage everybody, please report any crimes. And stats is just very important. Anytime the city doing anything, we look at the stats first, specifically 311 and the police. So that would make a lot of difference if we have more stats to support what we do. We're based on evidence, based on facts. And also, I just want to I want to emphasize is that please don't let this, the negative things, stop your day-to-day life. My mother, I believe she's right now listening in or watching, and she lives downtown, and she go out every day, walking every day, rain and shine, and I worry about her. But I also very much admire her. She's not afraid, because that's the attitude we're supposed to have. If we cave in, guess what? They win. So we want to show them, no, we're not afraid of the bad thing. And we're not afraid if someone tried to put us down. We stand our ground and we report the incident and it make us better. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sean. Thank you. That's a very good call. I think really we need to raise community awareness, right? We need that courage, to do the report. I know, like CPS, like Calgary Police Services, is organizing the kind of statistics of hate crime report. And if anyone has experienced such unpleasant experience, please do feel free. And Sean has gave you a phone number, and we will later give out that number again. Thank you again, Sean. And how about our Councilor Jeromy? Do you have some advice to our communities?
Yeah, I would just build on what Councilor Chu said, making sure that you don't have to take this abuse. You need to make sure that if this does happen to you, that you do report it. And when the police are determining where resources are allocated and where they're put in the community, it's based on a lot of those statistics and those numbers. But of course, when this happens to somebody, you're not a statistic, you're not a number. And I think it's so important for us to realize as a community collectively that any hate against any person in our community is a hate against ourselves. So make sure, I believe it was Dr. Wright who mentioned this in his excellent op-ed that just ran, but if you're a bystander and you witness these types of events, don't be a bystander. Please make sure that you do get involved, you report what you see, and you make sure that you're engaged. So even if you yourself might not be the target of activities like this, we need to make sure that any hate against any Calgarian is seen as hate against all of us, and we act together as a community moving forward to make sure that those who need the support get the support, and those who need to meet consequences meet those consequences.
Well, that's fantastic. I seriously love your speech. Like you're also same as Councilor Zhang, you're making that call, and also the citizens need to know, right? It's our right. It's our right, and it's the right time as well for us to take action. Okay, and for Councilor Cartmell, what's your suggestions, ideas?
Is it my turn, May? Yes?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
Okay, thank you. My comments will be similar to Councilor Chu and Councilor Farkas. I would say that Edmonton's experience has been a little bit different in the last year, in that Edmonton has had an ongoing conversation about racism, about people of color, about how people are being treated by our local police service. It's been a particular point of emphasis in the public discourse for the last year or more. And so I would really encourage those of you on the call that, as the others have done, to report these kinds of activities when you see them, and to report them in numbers. As it is in Calgary, it's the same in Edmonton, where the police service will take action based on the numbers of calls it receives, and it will take action where it sees clusters of those calls and clusters of those concerns taking place. The police service is informed by those statistics. Part of our conversations that we've had just in the last week have talked about the police service and the city keeping track of statistics on a cultural or race basis. And while that seems a little counterintuitive, what that intent is to try to understand just how much racism-related crime is taking place in Edmonton and who the targets of those criminal activities are. So it's really important that all communities are part of this conversation, that reporting is done, and it's done quickly, and it's done with everyone that's affected, so that we do have the information we need to guide our future decisions and bring attention to these very clear problems. There is a risk, I could say, I will say that those that don't speak up might get lost in the conversation that others are bringing forward. So it's important to participate. And I will, building on the comments of others, note that sometimes this community is a little reluctant to get involved with the police service for whatever reason. So if there's a reluctance in that way, then feel free to contact my office or the office of some of the other councillors on City Council, and they would be happy to hear your concerns and then convey those concerns to the authorities and to the city. If that is easier for those of you on the call to contemplate, then that is another way in which you can report your concerns and make them clear to the city and have them considered and understood.
Thank you very much, Councilor Cartmell. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, in fact, not only information, but experience, right? Not only a perspective. And this is very beneficial to the discussion. Okay. So also for these questions, and we will also love to have the perspective, opinions from police officers. So Constable Crespo, are you here? Constable Crespo is the hiring profile manager of Calgary Police Services. So are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'll give my perspective as well. I think the councillors and everybody that spoke before me, I think they pretty much hit the nail on the head. I know I haven't worked the street in just over a year. I've been in recruiting unit just over a year. And when I used to work the street, I really enjoy investigating crime. I like standing up for my community, and I like standing up for victims. So for me to do my job, I need the help from everybody, which means if you see something, just like what was said earlier, if you're a witness to an event, please call us. If you're a victim to an event, please call us. I know I've lost count of how many times where I've been to a call where I'm trying my best to get some information so I can identify an offender and make an arrest, but there's some hesitancy to cooperate with us for, like what was said earlier, for one reason or another. We like, trying to make everybody safe, and so we just need that cooperation, and we're happy to have it.
Oh, that's wonderful, Constable Crespo. We seriously, the community members, the community, every one of us are looking forward to that collaboration. Okay, 好的，我们的华裔警察哈 ，our Constable Robin Law from Edmonton. Could you please share some of your opinion towards this question as well? Are you here, Robin?
Yes, I am. Thanks, May.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, first, I'm not here as a constable. Earlier I said I'm on leave, so I'm here just representing myself, and I'm
Okay,
here
thank
to
you.
support my fellow Asian brothers, sisters, and I'm here just to share some personal opinions.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Commander. Thank you.
Yeah, for the hate crime or racism or the defamation or discrimination, it's not a new thing, and it's not just because of the COVID-19. It comes a long way, and we all know that. And because of this is not something new and not something we just have it. So it needs all of us, each and every one of us, to contribute, to do our bit, to change it, to improve our fellow Asian brother and sisters situation. And also, I suggest it will be a long run. We cannot expect to change this like just a couple days or overnight. I agree strongly with the previous honorable speaker from City Council of Calgary and Edmonton. And I believe they will give us necessary support for doing this. But because this is, excuse me, because this is our own welfare and our own well-being. So it heavily relied on ourselves. First of all, like my fellow brother Constable Crespo said, we need to take that consideration, stand up for ourselves. We need to do something, make some changes, starting from now, like reporting every incidents that around ourselves or whatever we say, whatever experience, if it's racism, if it's racially related discrimination, or even hate crime, we need to stand up. We need to fight back. And the very beginning is to report. I know there are numerous reasons for us, for Asian peoples, not reporting every incident to the authorities. Doesn't matter it's language reasons or it's our offsprings, the way we are growing up. We need to change that right now, because just like the Christian saying, God only helps those who help themselves. So if we don't care, if we don't care about ourselves, if we don't do something for ourselves, nobody else can help us. And that's just my 2 cents opinion. Thanks, me.
Police officer of Asian like decent I have ever known here in Calgary as well. Very glad to have you here. So I think it's time for us to continue with our questions, and we have got some questions already, you know, and Robin, yeah, we would love you later on to share some of your own, you know, the cases or your own experience, and to educate the community about, you know, how to do as what you said, because that need not only courage but also the right, you know, action, right? Oh, great, Frank is back here. Frank, are you here already? Frank Zhang. I have our co-host. So
hey, Frank, how are you?
We're coming to the, okay, yes, great. Good to have you back. Okay, so we have the second question for you, okay, to ask our counselors.
Okay, yes, sorry, I think I get the back work and then I get kicked out, and then the meeting which the Max participants, because I think this is we have more participants than we expect, which is a good thing. But also thank you, Meg, for organizing such a good online meetings at this time. And hello to my friends and new friends and old friends, and Sean, Jeromy, good to see you. So my question is, I know we covered a portion of it before, but so this question is to Jeromy, Sean, team, and police officer Jonathan, and also Robin. So what do you think, and kind of can you explore racism, abuses, and also racially motivated hate crimes that all citizens, especially like Asian citizens and Asian Calgarians, are protected against by law and human rights in Canada? So like what do you think? So can you kind of explore, like, from your perspectives, like what do you see, and what we're going to do about it?
Maybe I'll jump in there briefly first. There's a number of different things that have to happen here. I think it's a bit of a cliche, but the only way that we win against hate is with love. And the only way that we win against ignorance is through education. So for my part, I've been thinking about how we can make sure that the police have the resources that they need to be able to execute, say the adequate funding, so that when their recruit classes happen and new police officers are hired, that they better represent the community. That's a big piece. Calgary is also the only major North American city without a downtown police station. So when you think about, say, Chinatown, it's not as well served as compared to other communities around the city because of that lack of a police station. That's a piece. Another one is making sure that the police have the resources in order to be able to make sure that when the calls come in, that they can be receiving and having a good conversation in languages besides just English. That has to be a priority as well, to make sure that these crimes, when and where they happen, that they can be reported by those who may not have access to the internet or might not be native English speakers. We need to make sure that those individuals are able to get involved. And another piece as well is to be able to ensure that the mechanisms are in place to be able to hold police accountable. Occasionally there are complaints against police in terms of potential overreach or overuse of powers. So I think it's important for us to support the good cops and make sure that the bad cops are held accountable. And then another piece is around the city's role in terms of, again, that education piece, festivals, making sure that local organizations and associations, cultural events have the support that they need from the city to make sure that there isn't needless red tape, and that there's adequate funding to make sure that all Calgarians know that they're welcome at various Asian-oriented events, and vice versa with other ethnicities and other organizations. And again, just a shout out to Councilor Chu. He's been a real strong advocate for Chinatown and this issue in my time as a city councilor. So those are just a couple ideas that I have off the cuff.
Great. So Sean Chu here, I will just jump in. The further to what Jeromy has said, I just want to say it is the most idiotic thing to defund the police. The city in the US I have read, a couple of cities, I don't want to mention name, they want to defund the police. They did defund the police. Now guess what they're doing? They actually asking for more money to have more police officers, because murder and every other major crime has gone through the roof. And police is here to help us. And just use my experience. I was in the diversity resource team working. And I'm telling you, if city police is way ahead of anybody else in the diversity. And city police's diversity unit, and it was called different something else. It was the model for all North America for a long time, for a very long time. And so it is very important we have a functional and top-notch police service to serve us all. Thank you.
Wow, I love that. Zhang, you know, you're based, you know, have such a foundation, right? Police service officer. And I was told that, I was told by the co-chair, because I myself is a Calgary Police Service Asian Advisory Board member. I was told by my co-chair person that it seems that you are the one to build the CPS Asian Advisory Board. You built that team, right?
Yeah, initially, yeah, but other people do a better job than I did. So, and the people before me has done a lot of good job, making my job back when easier, even now as councilor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. We never feel right under such situation, current situation, like things has ever been getting that, you know, difficult. And so that's the Asian Advisory Board has been busy, and we feel it's right time to do the right thing. Okay. Frank, do you still have some questions to probably to our Councilor Campbell as well, right?
Yeah, I think Sean and Jeromy cover. I think Sean and Jeromy cover most of them. So thank you so much to Councilor, and I would also like team, what's your input, and also I think somebody I think Donald, you here on the chat room, bring up some good points, and suggestions to the councilors and our couple police officer here. And I totally get it. And it's your spare time, and then you don't represent any reputation. It's just organization. And just thank you for your personal input. I think that really helps. That really help everybody in the community, every Asian Calgarians or Calgarian attending the meeting today. So yeah, I think that covers most what we want to hear and what we have been discussed. And also, Councilor team, and do you have anything to add?
Well, again, I'll offer just a little bit of perspective from the Edmonton point of view. I noticed in the chat a couple of comments that I would like to respond to, and one is that the City of Edmonton and Edmonton Council specifically does have an anti-racism advisory board, but I don't know that there's any Asians on that advisory board. I'd have to check that, but that's a question. And as I was alluding to earlier, we've had quite a long and continuing conversation in Edmonton with respect to people of color. Councillor Chu commented on the defund the police narrative. We've had that narrative in Edmonton here. It is a bit of a distraction, but you can see how those who had an issue by being quite loud, I would say, by being outspoken, by bringing attention to their issue, they're getting attention. And so I would suggest that that what has been lost in the conversations we've had in Edmonton around racism is anti-Asian racism or Asian hate. That conversation has not come to the fore. And it is almost in the world of, to be plain about it, of competing for attention and bringing this concern forward. We did see a rally in Edmonton a week or so ago, which was the beginning or the part of that. But I think it requires a continued effort to continue to focus on these issues as well as the issues that others are bringing forward. I'll also note that our police chief, Dale McPhee, has got a Chiefs Community Council that is going to be discussing issues like these, that is currently recruiting for members that would begin their work in April of this year. So they're recruiting for members right now. That's an opportunity to represent the Asian community on a community council that would speak directly to our police chief. So there's a number of ways in which concerns and that can be brought to the attention of decision makers, of people at the highest levels of the police service, at the highest levels of city council, that begin to start the process that begin to lead to greater widespread understanding of the issues. And with greater understanding, we can then move to solutions of those issues through discussion and collaboration and community effort. It starts though with bringing these issues out, bringing them to the fore, making sure the greater community is aware of the experiences of the Asian community.
Well said. Seriously, I always love that. Yeah, it requires, right, the collaboration between the city, good citizens, the whole community to work together. And thank you, all 3 city councillors, for your kind, advice and perspective. And thank you very much. And I know probably I would love to have your attention, everyone. We now have reporter from Global News. If you read the chats, she's asking a question, and I think that's something I would love to tackle as well myself. And that's pretty, should be, I hope this could be inspiring to our audiences today. So Global News, right? Tracy is asking why, like, I couldn't read the news, her question now, sorry for that, but she's asking why it seems that Asian peoples are reluctant, to do the report, to report the hate crime, right? Sorry, Tracy, I couldn't read the question. I have, seems that I have a tech problem myself, but that's your question, right?
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and thank you so much for hosting this. And more specifically, when we're talking about the Asian community, what in regards of harassment meets that threshold of a hate crime? Can you charge someone for using racist language or seemingly picking on an Asian person out of a crowd? Like, there has been so many instances, and it seems that so many people of Asian descent are disenfranchised.
Well, I would assume Councilor Sean and police officer, both police officer Robin and Constable Crespo, they're good enough to answer this question. And I forget to mention everyone, Constable Crespo, you are also, a police officer, a CPS police officer of Asian descent as well, right? And thank you, Jeromy. Councilor Jeromy, you're still here as a, as a councilor from the immigrant generation as well. Would you like to also to answer this question as well, Jeromy?
Well, I would be reluctant to weigh in on something I've not myself experienced. So I would want to be here to listen, to make sure that if anybody on this call has experienced something like this, and if they're willing to trust me with their experience, to please contact my office. Just the email would be ward11@calgary.ca. And I would be very, very grateful if anybody was willing to share their experience with me so that I could explore more about why they may have been reluctant to involve the police. But one thing I would mention is, please do, again, report anything that you see or you experience. Don't worry if you don't know if it meets the threshold or the definition of it being a hate crime. Report what you see and let the police be the one who investigates and determines whether it's a hate crime or not. Trust me, the police definitely want to hear from you. They want to be able to collect that evidence. And I believe that they can be trusted to be able to ensure that they're acting for the community's best interest.
Okay, thank you very much. So
No,
everyone, yeah, Sean, please.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. So with my previous experience, and I have done some research, and there's a few things. I mentioned one is that language barrier, and that's a big part of it. That's why a lot of people don't report. Number two is, I believe, is our the Chinese upbringing is that you mind your own business. Okay, the Chinese population people has been in North America for a very long time, and they're building the railroad and but we never caused any issue. We never rise up to do something until it's absolutely necessary, where you can't do it no more. So that is a little bit different cultural differences, in my opinion, and what I have researched. So that's add up. That's why when I was working in a diversity resource team, and I always answer the phone. Often I get people from the Chinese community speaking the dialect I don't understand, but they still call because I do speak a couple of different dialects. So that's very important. And right now, I believe in the Chinese community, there's quite a few organizations, people, if they don't understand English, and they can go to. But I'm always the one, is that we have to learn at least some conversational English, because we are in a part of the English country, and I always encourage to do that. And my mother, she's almost 80, and she's still taking courses every week to learn English. So I think it's very important, and also that the community provides services to help out, and that's why a lot of people from Asia, specifically in the Chinese descent, that we are lacking the will to report, and that's what I think. Thank you.
Can I follow up then with my question about why it's so hard to meet this threshold then of the people that we're supposed to protect, that the law doesn't meet that standard?
I think that you need the police officer to answer it.
So yeah, Constable Crespo and Robin, are you still here? Robin, you're probably one of the best person to answer this question. Please go ahead, Robin. We're waiting for you.
May, I wouldn't say I'm the best person to answer that, but I would like to share my opinions here. To answer the reporter's question, why it's so hard, I believe because this is a historical reason. Like in the past, if you get shouted, yelled from somebody with a racial slur, usually people don't think it's a crime. It's a need police enforcement or investigation. And only those crimes serious enough that caused personal injury or severe property damage, then it becomes investigable or punishable crimes. And then police officers, we are used to investigating according to the Criminal Code of Canada. For the property damage investigation, we can easily just, charge that person for mischief. And for the personal injury, then it's also like a number of offenses readily for us to pick up, to use them. But for just a racial slur, really in the past, we just hope that that activity got enough evidence, no matter whether it's from a video, audio evidence, or from witnesses that will circle around in the society or on the social media, and then the public will somehow voice out their support to the victim, and will criticize that guy, whoever did that. And I believe that that's what happened in the past. And now when we talk about hate crime, it's more of the more serious nature of crimes. It's not just those discrimination or defamation things. Even like the graffiti, even if the graffiti and the way we don't see, like from my personal experience, we don't see too much charges. There are reasons, of course, because lacking of evidence, and we couldn't even find out who did that. But that's just some public perception in regards to this, how to say, in the nature, the slight racial-related crimes. Hopefully that can answer your question. Thanks.
Okay, are we good enough now, Tracy? Are we good enough for the question, for your question? So probably, if you would love, maybe later on, I can connect you. I think all of them really have some great point just now already. So Tracy, I can connect you. Are you okay, everyone? Councilors, and
yes,
our police officers.
Yes, thank you.
Have we got an answer from Edmonton City Councilor Campbell as well already? Cam, are you willing to answer this question? Probably, yeah. I know. Tim has to go a little bit earlier, but yes, but he has been with us for around an hour. And also we have Professor David. Professor David, are you here, Tracy? I really would love to specifically invite Professor David Wright from University of Calgary, like a School of History. And he specifically published an article on Asian hate on Calgary Herald yesterday. So Professor David, do you have some perspective or insights to share with every one of us and to answer Tracy's question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely. Okay. We have you here.
Two things. If an incident is not a crime, there are still things that can be done about it. 4 or 5 years ago, I had somebody open the back door of my classroom and shout at the top of their lungs, "F China." And I talked to the president of the university and the people at the University of Calgary, and they said, well, no, it's not a crime, but you can still do something about that. I had President Cannon do a video statement, 5 minutes long or so, to the class to say that this is not acceptable. I think several students in the class were kind of shaken up by that. As well, if you are an Asian immigrant, I would just like to say to you, thank you. Thank you for coming to Canada and your contributions to Canada. And I'd like to say thank you for not giving up on Canada. Some of you do have other countries you could return to. Don't do that. Stand and fight. You here are as Canadian as anybody else. If you have become a Canadian citizen, you're not a guest. You are, you're the host. How do I say this in English? 你们入了加拿大籍以后，你们不是客，你们是主，要当家做主。This is your country too, and I'm happy to see people decry racism like what you're doing tonight and working against it. Okay.
Wow.
Bravo.
Wow,
Bravo.
amazing. You can speak Chinese. Wow.
May I have one other question?
Wow.
And sorry, I will stop after that. I promise. Thank you for your hospitality.
Okay.
When we're talking about what's happening in Edmonton with people throwing fences down and having convoys and talking about restrictions, and these also seem to interlude with perhaps not the same engulfing and accepting lives that we like to talk about. How is that met?
Well, I don't think I get your questions exactly, Tracy. And do you have a specific guest you would love to ask? I will give you two only. Okay, two guests only. So we have City Councilor Zhang, we have City Councilor Jeromy, we have Professor David from University of Calgary, we have Police Officer Robin from Edmonton, and we have Constable Crespo, the Calgary Police Service hiring file manager. So to whom you'd love to choose two at most to answer your question, please.
When we're talking about health orders and people of Asian community being targeted and centered as people that don't follow health orders, and then we're seeing what's happening up at Grace Life, how do you guys respond?
Well, that is not a question towards our main theme today, seems that, Tracy. So could you, can I please, Tracy, we do have really a limited of time. I know your question, Tracy. I know you are also approaching some of the youth members today. Maybe I can definitely get some youth members to come to you. We will definitely come to you. I have your contact. Yeah.
Of course. Thank you so much, May.
Yes, thank you very much, Tracy, for joining us. And please send our, regard to Krista, right? Krista Dow. And thank you for her wonderful report on our March 28th rally against Asian hate in front of City Hall on Olympic Plaza. And thank you for joining us. I will definitely come back to you. Okay, you know me well. Okay, thank you again. Okay, so well, we move to the topic. It's definitely the right time to continue with our topics. That's something as well. Okay, and also, I think also there is some more questions. Also, Constable Crespo, and also Robin, both as police officer yourself. Or do you have some, also like authentic statistics to share or some specific cases to share? Cases works the best, cases are lovely examples that, best illustrate that situation and the action that we're supposed to make. And also, okay, would you like to share some? And also Councilor Zhang as well. You have been you have not only be a police officer, Sean. Sorry, I may forgot to introduce that. Well, you used to be a CPS officer, Calgary Police Service. In fact, you are the Calgary Police Officers Distinguished Service Medal, right? And 20 years service medal, Sean. That's a big honor. And also because of your contribution, to the Asian community. Also, you were awarded the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal, as well as the Alberta Centennial Medal. Wow, that's a great honor altogether. One diamond is good enough. You have that. So I would assume you have some cases to share, right? During that time as a police officer, how you connect the community, with CPS, and what kind of a specific with the time moving on. I myself as a CPS Asian Advisory Board member, I did say good strategy, and CPS is making like rebranding, right? Building rebranding CPS and add on the diversity of police officers. So altogether, gave us some idea, Sean, as a counselor, as a police officer.
Sure. With my experience as a police officer before, I understand that policing itself is different in Asia than in North America, specifically Calgary. The police, we do community policing. We're the police force. We are the police service. We're actually serving the people. And did I ever experience racism? I believe so, I did. And did I stop or just cower away? No, I didn't. I keep moving forward. That actually gave me more motivation to do better. And I think that's important for any one of us. Doesn't matter where you come from or who you are, is that you gotta have that motivation, okay? And use that, whatever is bad thing, make it better, and make it moving forward. You want to do better, and sometimes, often, people will say, "Well, speak English." Right? You hear that all the time, but what you can do is take that as a learning experience, and then say, hey, yes, I'm going to do that. and that will make you a better person. And the CPS, I understand before, is that we'll always try to do the best. And we often, you know, when I was growing up, I don't know if anybody else understand that, but often in the Asian community, when you're growing up, often the parents would tell the children, hey, if you don't listen to me, the police gonna come and get you, right? So when I was a police officer, I tried to stop that because that's a bad connotation. The police are the bad guy gonna take you away, which is not true, right? Or often you see kids with the kids on the street say, okay, there's police officers, be careful. No, I always go up to them and say, no, we're actually friendly. Police officer in Calgary are very friendly if you don't break the law, right? There's a line, don't cross. And so I believe that, right, I cannot, I don't know if the CPS right now, police service, has someone can speak the language. I know there's a few officers could, but not specifically in the position of diverse resource team. But back when you call the police, there's always, they can do translation, their translation line, they can call. However, nowadays, because of technology, everybody's got a cell phone. Even my mom, she got an iPhone, she got an iPad, and she even has a translator machine, right? You can talk into your phone, any kind of phone, and they will translate into English or vice versa. And that make life way easier. And so don't be afraid. Go out, have a thicker skin, go out and do things, make it better. Thank you.
Well, great, Sean. That's always, I know we can always count on you on such issues and questions. Definitely. And I not only with your experience, right, but also, you know, you have an overall great, you know, overview, right, as both a community member, a dedicated community volunteer, a police officer, and a city councilor. All this a great combat perspective. That's very valuable, and thank you again. Thank you again. Okay, so Professor David, do you have something to say towards this? You're welcome to speak in Mandarin Chinese as well, you know.
Yes, sir. I actually have a question myself for the Calgary Police, if I could.
Okay.
If these anti-Asian incidents increase, is there any possibility of getting a full-time dedicated hate crime hotline for Chinese speakers, and have one person who speaks Mandarin and one person who speaks Cantonese available 24 hours a day to take calls about these things?
That's a fabulous question. Definitely, as Councilor Zhang has addressed earlier, there are language barriers, and also it specifically towards in front of emergency. I found myself sometimes I got speechless as well. So Constable, I think that's why we have Constable Crespo today. Constable Crespo, are you here? Right? And
yes,
let's welcome wonderful Constable. So could you please first answer David's question and then make your lovely presentation, everyone. Constable Crespo is going to make a presentation on CPS recruitment strategy on increasing the diversity. That's really fabulous news. Your time.
Sure. So I'll start with David's question. From my perspective, I have no idea. So sorry to not provide an answer there. From my position, I'm not in any sort of decision-making capacity that would facilitate such a thing. Now, with that said, I could see it happening, but I truly don't know just because it's not my role. And I'll just back up a little bit because I've seen some of the comments as we've been going. and I'd just like to address a few of them. So the first one I have written down here is, I can't remember who wrote it, but it says here, who to call if I don't feel safe. And I heard, I saw a few folks say there's the non-emergency number or 911. And I'd just like to add, if you're feeling unsafe and you call, whether it's 911 or the non-emergency number, please tell us why you're feeling unsafe. Are you walking from, from work to your car and there's somebody around? Or is there somebody prowling around the house or something different? Please just give us those details so that we know exactly what we're walking into and what is the best way for us to help out in that situation. Next question I saw in the chat was, what's the punishment for racism? And I'll say there, the punishment is exactly related to what offense has taken place. So if it's an assault or a hate crime related assault, that kind of thing, that punishment will exactly be associated or related to the type of offense that's taken place. And I think this is also a good place to tie into what I think it was David that said earlier. Just because something doesn't meet a criminal threshold right now, please do call us, because it might lead to something else later, or it like what some of our counselors brought up at the beginning. Statistics do drive a lot of our tactics going forward, like this hotline that we were just talking about. So if we don't have those calls coming in, then we can't help. So I'll back up just a little bit. That punishment is exactly related to the offense that is committed. And if we don't have an offense, for example, when the guy comes in and says a racial slur in a classroom, and then simple as that, please still call us, because we still want to investigate it. Another question I saw here in the chat, do you fight back against an attacker? I try to say to everybody, if the attack is going on right now, like whatever you have to do to protect yourself, I think my priority would be to get away somewhere that's safe. I understand that is easier said than done. I know from the training that I've been through and from the altercations that I've been in on the job, when you're in a fight with somebody, there's a high probability of getting hurt, right? So if you can get away safely, I think that should be the priority, but I understand it's not entirely as simple as that. So I hope that answers that question. And then I think that ties into my presentation. I haven't been monitoring the chat as I've been speaking, so I apologize if I missed anything. I'll try to share my screen here. Here we go. Is everybody able to see my PowerPoint?
Yes, we can see.
Fantastic, thanks very much. So I'll begin here. This is my presentation specific to our recruiting unit. The things that I want to talk about during my presentation is specific to the application process and being a new member. So what I'm going to talk about is our core values, minimum qualifications, wage and benefits, recruitment process, recruit training, and opportunities within Calgary Police. So first, I want to address our core values. They're listed as honesty, fairness, compassion, integrity, accountability, courage, and respect. All of these core values are extremely important for us in finding new recruits to join the police. I would suggest that all of these play a critical role in helping our members serve the community like we were talking about earlier. Next, I want to talk about minimum qualifications. So first one, you need to have a grade 12 diploma or equivalent. Next one, you need to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident living in Canada at least 3 years. I know for the United States, you must be a citizen. With our rules, it's a little bit different, where you can also be a permanent resident as long as you've lived in Canada at least 3 years. Next one is you need to be at least 18 years of age. A common question I see related to this is, okay, that's the minimum age. What's the maximum age? And the answer is there is no maximum age. I hired a guy last year. He worked a 30-year career at his old job. He applied to the police because that's what he wanted to do. And we hired him. He met all of our, he passed all of our tests and interviews and everything. And he retired from his current position to join us. So there is no maximum age. Next one, you need to have a class 5 driver's license. That's non-graduated license. You need to meet medical and health fitness standards. no unpardoned criminal convictions, no criminal activity within the last 3 years. And I'll add there, that's detected or undetected crime. So if you're involved in, let's say, a shoplifting and nobody caught you, so you weren't arrested or charged, that still counts. You still need to be 3 years clear minimum of that kind of behavior. Next one, you need to have a strong credit history, and you need to pass a vision and hearing medical standard and clearance. Next, we're going to go into our core competencies. So when I interview you at our panel interview, we'll be asking about your decisiveness and adaptability, your perseverance, interpersonal skills, stress management, and value of service and diversity. And I'll just touch on a few of these because I don't want to take up, monopolize everybody's time. Decisiveness and adaptability. It's important that when you make a decision, you stick with that decision. And when you need to adapt because you show up with a plan and the universe throws a monkey wrench in the way, you have to be able to adapt and think on the fly. Perseverance, I think, relates to stress management. This is a long career, and to be honest, it'll eat you up if you let it. So there needs to be some sort of resiliency and mental toughness, which isn't to say we're going to leave you high and dry. We do have resources internally to help you out, but we need to make sure before we hire you on that this is the career for you and it's not going to eat you up. Interpersonal skills. De-escalation has been so critical as of late. I know everybody is aware. To be able to de-escalate with somebody, in my opinion, on some level, you need to connect with the person that's in front of you, and you can't connect with them if you don't have strong interpersonal skills. And then service and diversity. I know I said I wasn't going to monopolize all the time, but here I am. So service and diversity, you need to be able to customize your approach to everybody, because we aren't just the District 7 Police Service or the Downtown Police Service or the Bowness Police Service. We're serving the entire city, right? And within that city, I know we all know there's different ethnicities, religions, the list goes on, and you have to be able to bring a fair approach to everybody, right? So that's extremely important as well. So my next slide here, how to be a competitive candidate, gain life experience, strengthen your interpersonal skills, for example, obtain education and or training, study something you enjoy. And I think this one's really important. I've spoken to a huge number of applicants or prospective applicants where they say they're just about to enroll in university or college, and they're going to be taking criminology or police studies of some sort. And I say to everybody, that's fantastic, but don't feel like you need to study that. I was saying to May on Tuesday, myself, I'm born and raised Calgary. I studied power engineering technology at SAIT, which is just fancy talk for boiler operator. I graduated with a certificate in boiler operations. I moved to Fort McMurray and I worked in the oil field for 6.5 years before CPS hired me. You don't need an education specific to policing. If that's what you enjoy, fantastic. If you've studied something else, you're interested in a different education piece, fantastic. That's all great. Next, maintain a high level of fitness and health. Involvement in the community. I know when I did my job interview, I spoke about my volunteer work. I think that is a key component, but it's not necessary per se, but I'm sure everybody can appreciate it will make your resume or your application stand out in the vast number of applications that we have. And then kind of like I talked about in one of the previous slides, time and distance away from questionable conduct being that detected or undetected crime, for example. So next I'll talk about the recruitment process. So first step is you're gonna go to our website, which is join.calgarypolice.ca, and you'll fill out your application there. Next, you'll complete your written testing, which is the APCAT, which is an aptitude test, and the ACT, which is an English kind of competency test. Applicants need to pass both tests to continue. Next, you're going to do the physical, which is the Alberta Physical Readiness Evaluation for the Police, or APREP. There's a video on YouTube from the Calgary Police page, which shows you exactly what the APREP is. It's not a secret, so feel free to have a view and see what the test looks like. Next, you'll have a preliminary interview with somebody like me, your file manager, and then we'll talk about details coming up, for example, the panel interview or your disclosures that you need to make when you build your application. Then the panel interview conducted by 3 members, and we'll ask those questions about stress management, valuing service and diversity, those kind of things. Then we'll book you for a psych test and followed finally by the polygraph. And those 2 tests just kind of help tie the whole application together and make sure that you are fit for this line of work. After that, we'll be doing a background check where one of the things that we'll do is speak to your references. Then I'll present your file to our selection committee, where members from the executive will sit down and listen to my presentation and decide yay or nay, should we give this individual a job offer or not. If you're one of the lucky ones, you'll get a conditional offer, and then we'll book you for your pre-employment medical and make sure that you're not too sick or too injured to join the job. And I say that specifically. I had a friend of mine, we applied at the exact same time, and his doctor said, your heart can't take it, so you're not allowed to continue. So wage and benefits. The difference between Calgary Police and RCMP, for example, would be with Calgary Police, as soon as class starts on Monday, you start getting paid. And the entry-level pay is approximately, I'm going to call it $66,000 a year, topping out at approximately $104,000 a year. We also have on-site fitness facilities. Every district office has a gym. There's an excellent 25-year pension plan, comprehensive medical and dental and paramedical benefits, and continued education support. So if you want to continue on and get your degree, Calgary Police will contribute a portion of those funds to help you continue on with your education. So now we're into recruit training. Each successful candidate will be placed into a recruit class spanning 28 weeks of paid training. Requires strong driving skills with a variety of vehicles, includes communication and decision-making under stress. I definitely learned when I was in class, but everybody does as well. It's one thing to be able to make a sound decision. It's completely different when you're in a stressful situation, whether it's you know, a potentially violent person in front of you, or a car crash and you have victims around, those kind of things. The stress adds to the complexity of the situation and the difficulty in making those good decisions. And next, be comfortable learning subject control techniques, which would be working with violent or uncooperative offenders. So now that class is done, we're going to graduate. Successful candidates graduate in a traditional ceremony culminated with a presentation of your badge by the chief. After graduation, you'll be assigned to a police training officer within a district for 15 weeks. So you're going to come to a district, you're going to be working in a police car, you'll be assigned a police training officer or coach, and they'll just make sure, they'll continue that education piece, but instead of in a classroom setting, it's on the street, dealing with real calls, real victims, real witnesses, real offenders and suspects. And now coming towards the end of my presentation here, I'll just discuss a few of the opportunities within CPS. So once an officer obtains enough patrol experience, they are able to begin expanding on their career. Calgary Police Service offers more than 150 specialty units for limitless career growth. One needs to do a minimum of 5 years working patrol on the street before you're eligible to apply for a specialty unit. And then some of these specialty units, of course, everybody's familiar with K9 and Hawk. I know I used to work our mountain bike unit in District 7, so that's another option. School resource officer, Marine unit, working with folks on the Bow River, and our traffic unit, plus many more. If you want more information, please feel free to visit our website, which again is join.calgarypolice.ca, or feel free to send an email to cpsrecruiting@calgarypolice.ca, and also our phone number is listed here at 403-428-8433. And May, I'll hand it back over to you, but I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you, Constable Crespo. Thank you for that very detailed, very good information. And I think definitely it's the right time for us, right, for CPS, and also Edmonton Police. I say in the comments, right, Edmonton Police Service is also doing a beautiful job, likely to make a diversity action plan or whatever, and say cities across the Canada, right? They are making efforts, right, to increase diversity within the police team. And I think specifically today, we have Councilor Sean Chu with us. We have Robin Luo, a Mandarin-speaking Edmonton police officer. So definitely they have made their success and they enjoy their career. And I have a question, in fact, to all of you three. You're all police officers and you do fantastic job. And what's more, you are all police officers of immigration, right? With another, right, like ethnicity, right, of another descent. So how do you enjoy your police career yourself, Crespo? How do you enjoy it yourself? And you and your family and your community? I want you to answer this.
Absolutely. I've been with Calgary Police for 9 years now. I've enjoyed my time. I've worked the street for approximately eight of those years, and I've loved it. I like working the street because I find when I work patrol, that is exactly the best way to engage with the community. I've lost count of how many times where I don't just drive around in my police car and make sure that everything is safe, but I'll park the police car and let's go for a walk. And if kids are playing basketball, say hi, or folks are walking their dogs or whatever the case may be. But I think that's an important component of that community engagement, which I think we can all agree is an important part. I haven't experienced too much racism on the job. I think when most folks, they look at me, they don't see me. So my dad's from Manila. Folks don't typically see me as a Filipino descent. So I haven't really experienced much racism. Now I can say I've worked with a number of colleagues where they're quite clearly from the BIPOC community, and I've never observed any acts of racism against any of my colleagues from within. I know that not everybody has the same experience, but I like to encourage folks that I've never seen such a thing. So I would encourage folks, if you're considering a police career, I think you're in good hands, because I think we do a very good job of making sure that we support each other and not, having that disgusting infighting, especially when a race or a biased approach fits into the mix.
Okay. Well, so audiences, could you please mute yourself? And I should say we're a little bit over time, right? We start 10 minutes later, and also we have a journalist to ask our questions. Good questions, though, and thank you for coming and joining us, in fact. So I guess, and thank you, Constable Crespo. In fact, you are a role model, also one of the role model today. You answered some questions already. We are supposed to come to question time, and we do have a lot of beautiful questions, but we're over time, unfortunately. So Professor David, Constable Crespo, Sean, is our Councilor Sean still here? And
I am.
Oh, wonderful. So Sean, definitely we want you to experience. You are not only a role model, but such a wonderful connection between the police and the people, the community, the Chinatown community and the Mandarin speaking community. So how do you enjoy your police officer career?
Oh, I loved it. It was a great time. And it is especially working in the community with the community member and the association, and that was great. And everybody's very supportive, and it feels good to help people.
Wow, yes, and it's always great to help people. And not only that, you're such a wonderful connection between the police and the community. And that's why we are hosting this panel discussion today. And once again, grateful to have both Edmonton and Calgary city councilors and police officers from both two cities, to join the panel and to answer the questions. And it's a wonderful start. We may not have that much enough time, but I do have some requests to answer some questions. If any one of you could be patient enough, can we have around 5 to 10 minutes question and answer time. Is that okay for you, Councilor and
Yeah, for sure.
Constable and Robin? Okay, so and once again, Constable Crespo has been addressing some wonderful questions already. Any one of you, if you have some serious question you want to ask, please just type it here in that, in our chatting room, and we are choosing some of the questions. Okay. I had a question. I had a question here. In fact, it's from Alex. It's also true that xenophobic hatreds against all minorities, not only just the Chinese, but seriously against all Asian, right? And that's also what Professor David addressed in his articles with Calgary Herald yesterday. So increasing hatred towards not only Asian community, but also the whole minorities were previously hidden are now unleashed. They're unleashed as a side effect of the China virus rhetoric. So do you have some kind of, solutions or whatever? I think we have covered some that part already. And also we have one comment from Miss Xie Yan, our newspaper CEO, continuously with some other suggestions like Anti-Racism Action Committee, which City of Edmonton is building, and that's very good. And also, Councilor Sean, is our Councilor Tim Campbell from Edmonton, Ward 9 is still here. I'm calling you for the second time. If you would love to explain that Anti-Racism Action Committee, is Councilor Campbell is still here, Ms. Xie Yan? Yeah. If not, Councilor Sean, could you please also answer some questions regarding this Anti-Racism Action Committee? We have that in Calgary as well, maybe in different name, right? So share with us some information, please.
Yeah, so Calgary Council passed the anti-racism policy, and we're working towards that. And to be honest, okay, to fix any problem, you gotta admit you have a problem, and that the CPS has done so a long time ago, and the Calgary City will start doing it now. I have said that on the council floor is that we should learn. Instead of finding our own way, let's learn from the CPS, so we can be better. And earlier, the question were, why is the hate crime threshold so high? And I personally, I think it is proper for a reason. And because could you imagine if someone, like for example, I'm a counselor, right? So we make up law just because I don't like other people saying bad things about me. Doesn't matter who I am. So it could be like that, a slippery slope if we don't hold a bar, in my opinion. And cannot be changed? Should that be changed? Maybe. However, we got to be very careful because we also deal with Charter of Rights, freedom of speech. At what point freedom of speech crossed the line? Okay? That's very delicate. And then that's why we have court and Supreme Court to make that decision. And I also believe as the time goes, things will be better, because you've seen many times on social media you see two kids hugging each other, haven't seen each other for a long time because COVID. And I saw one, brought tear to my eyes. It was a young Black kid and a Caucasian kid. They saw each other. They just ran up to each other, hugged each other. And why? Nowadays, like my children, they have, and they have all sort of different kinds of friends. It's different background is not an issue for them. And it also is, I believe, is learned. People are born to nice to each other. And for example, on social media, and it's easy to hide behind computer. You know, they call it basement or warrior, because they don't have to see the daylight of it. They can say whatever they want without any precaution or any ramification. However, my experience as a counselor, you know, almost 8 years ago, I always return people's call or email. And before, I remember one lady very well. She didn't like my stance because I'm more conservative, and I believe she's more progressive. And so she wrote 2-page of email. They say how much she doesn't like me, how much she's going to help anybody else but me to get elected. So I call her 13 times. The number 13 times I got hold of her. So the first thing she said, thank you for never give up on calling me. So we had 20-minute conversation. End of the day, she said, if in the future, I never asked, she said, anybody ask me in the future, I will say 3 things. First, you never give up on calling me. Second, you gave me 20 minutes of your time. Number 3, we agree to disagree. So that's human, you know, almost face to face, but on the phone. So I never felt for almost 8 years when I call people who hates me, whatever they put down on the email, the first thing they said, I'm sorry, or something to that effect, because wow, someone actually confronted them of their hatred. And human, we don't born that way, and we didn't learn that way. So they don't know what to do. And just like often you see in the movie about bully, and you heard that about bully as well. If someone's stronger than the bully stood up for themselves, guess what the bully do? They don't know what to do. Often they run away. So that's what I said at the very beginning, is that your ground, don't give up. Like Professor David said, don't give up. Fight the good fight. Fight for yourself and for the future. So, thank you.
Well, thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. Wow, that's very good perspective, right? And also I see in the comments here also, that's from Donald Yu. I love that comments. Really, I think people across the country, not only in Edmonton, but Calgary, also ask these questions. We'd like to see Anti-Racism Action Committee from Edmonton that's on the next city council meeting. So people definitely, Sean, you could be, and Jeromy, and also Councilor Tim Campbell. I hope all of you could be part of that to advocate for Anti-Racism Action Committee in both the two cities. And thank you again. That's why we are having you here, to listen to the community and to address our voices and whatever. Okay, so I have, ladies and gentlemen, with the time limits, I have the last question, and I read it. I found a very pronoun. Sean, you know him well, Malcolm Chow, right? That is the president of Calgary Chinese Culture Center. He has been asking a lot of some questions, very good questions, I think. Let me read it, okay? This is Malcolm Chow. Are you here still, Malcolm? I hope you're here, okay? Don't we have a more fundamental question to ask? Why we are seeing the recent increase in anti-racism acts? Is it really anti-Asian or anti-Chinese? Or shall we ask how to put forward this, right? That's your question, right, Malcolm? I would assume we have parsed, we have definitely really covered part of that questions already, right? That's something I think, Malcolm, probably that's the question you would have to ask back to the, maybe sometimes we can arrange a discussion with you and the Global News reporter. Okay, thank you again for your question, Malcolm. And I know everyone, it's 8:50. Like we can't really extend this meeting any further more until 9 p.m. because that's we have half an hour already, right? Longer. So I'd love to take this opportunity to have Zhang, Frank, my co-host. Yes, could you please invite some of our important community members and also who co-organized this forum already, the two ladies, right? They're back at the same, but we'd love to listen to them.
Okay, thank you so much, May, organizing this, and I know you've done a lot of work behind the scenes, so a big thank you to you, and thank you for all the guest speakers tonight, and Councilor Jeromy, especially Jeromy, good luck with your mayor campaign later this year. So yeah, you are my go-to guy, and I know if you get elected, you're gonna do great for Calgarians, and yeah, hopefully you're gonna get elected. And also my friend Song Chu, and also Councilor Team Cartmell, and also Police Officer Jonathan Crespo and Robin Liu. Thank you so much for your insight, and I think it's good enough for us to get to know what your perspectives and what your thoughts are on all this hate crimes, especially during this COVID, and hopefully we can all put this behind us, and hopefully our vaccine effort is doing better and better, getting more people vaccinated, so we can all go back to normal as soon as possible. And I know this has been late. This is much better, greater than what we expected, so that's why it takes half an hour late. So but anyway, so I would like to invite Mrs. Xie Yan, Chinese Multicultural Herald newspaper CEO, and also Donald Yu, Edmonton ICAN associations, to do the closing statements for us. Yeah, so please, Ms. Xie Yan and Donald Yu.
Yan, are you here? I would assume you're still here. Okay.
Hello,
so,
can you hear me?
Wonderful.
Hi, hello everybody. Can you hear me? Sorry. Just test. Good. Okay.
Yes, very good, very good.
Hi everybody, my name is Yan Si. I'm the president of ICAN Association and also the CEO of Chinese Multicultural Herald. Both of these organizations are the sponsors for this event. Like we see that we are very concerned about hate crimes against Asians in America and in Canada. So the main objective of tonight, we're organizing this platform, is for us to give some suggestion and hear from the police and the politicians. We would like to express what we want is to live in this safety, peace, and harmony city. And thank you everyone for joining us tonight, and we are looking forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Yan. Thank you so much. Donald, are you still here?
Miss Yu, Madam Yu, great. Oh, sorry, Mr. Yu. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to Xie Yan and definitely May for organizing this, and also for all the participants and also all the speakers, and really appreciate it. And I would like to say every journey starts with a first step, but the first step could be wrong if we don't get the right direction. So the key thing is to get the right direction, and then we move out the right step. I think tonight we already got the right step and the right direction, And we should continue on to have more this type of meetings. And we definitely want to have a city councils all involved, and we can put in action, just like I constantly mentioned about anti-racism action committee has to be implemented in the council, in the city. So eventually we can get it into the law, and we should also have set up something called Anti-Racism Day. And that is utmost important. And then lastly, we are citizens of Canada. We should tell our government, the government of Canada, not just the provincial government, the Canada of government, that we as a country, Canada, should never be involved with all these international fights. We should stay ourselves neutral. Thank you very much tonight.
Well said, Donald. I love that. That's very powerful. And I hope, and I'm also calling upon very many of our participants today to follow what Donald has advised. And we got to work together in a whole, collaborate each associations and all the cities, and to work collaboratively with 3-level governments. Right? We are having our city councilors today, and I hope next time any one of you could also, right, invite our MLAs, MPs to stand up together with us, listen to us, address communities' concerns and issues. And very well said. Thank you again, Donald. And at last, everyone, it's nearly, we have 2 minutes to go to 9 p.m. And thank you again. I'd like to firstly thank you all our VIP guests, our panelists. City Councilor Zhang, thank you for being with us still 2 hours. Constable Crespo, great job with the presentation. I personally myself have really collected several questions, and I will forward to you. And would you like me to forward your presentation, your PPT PowerPoint to the community? Are you open for that, Constable?
Yes,
Constable
exactly. Let's talk after, and I don't mind sharing it at all.
Okay, we talk later. Okay, thank you again. And Luobin, great speaker, and very proud of you, such a wonderful representative of police officers of our Chinese descent. Great job, and keep on your great jobs as well. And thank you again to all the community members and community leaders who has been with us and who have been helping us organizing. We had an issue today. You have all noticed, I know. I kept on receiving some messages because we booked a Zoom meeting room of 500 capacity, but I don't know why, because we just renewed in that with the ICAN association in their name. So it's there. I know that it always happens to me as well. Zoom meeting room, like at first we could only allow 100 people to come in for around half an hour. But I promise you, Chinese Multicultural newspaper, Herald newspaper, ICAN association, and COVID-19 Tomorrow Youth team, we will keep on doing good things, and there will be certainly. Jean, are you still there? Jean, could you please play some whatever the presentation we have, PPT? Okay, so we together today, we have around more than 30 associations from Calgary, from Edmonton, and also from Toronto to join co-host this panel discussion, and we will do some other series later on at your request. If you still have some questions, and I'm sorry, my apologies, we couldn't address all the questions on the chatting room today. So scan that code on the bottom right, on the top right corner. There is a scan code for you to scan. Please scan that, join our WeChat group and ask any questions there, and we can definitely connect you to any of the guest speakers today. And at last, to do a review, I'd love to read our VIP guests, their messages. So City Councilor, Edmonton City Councilor Tim Campbell, when he left a lovely message. He said, well, if there is any, emergency or whatever, please don't hesitate to contact my office. So Edmonton Ward 9 City Councilor, Tim Campbell, his email address is at team.cartmell@edmonton.ca. Okay, so if you didn't get it, contact us. We will send it to you. And also, City of Calgary Ward 11 City Councilor Jeromy Farkas, who is also running for mayor and a very huge potential to be our next young, talented, well-achieved mayor person coming from immigration family. Best luck for him. And he also left his email, which is word9@calgary.ca. And also Sean is here. I know Sean. I have your email address, which is, look at Sean's icon, sean.chu@calgary.ca or word4@calgary.ca. Is that right, Sean?
Yeah, Ward 04 at
Word
calgary.ca.
Okay, that's an easy one. Word 04@calgary.ca for Sean Chu. Word 11@calgary.ca for Councilor Jeromy, and team.cartmell@edmonton.ca for Councilor Tim, and also Robin and Constable Crespo. Thank you again for your time, for your efforts, for your great contribution. We can't make this possible without your contribution. And 9 o'clock, and it's time to say bye, everyone. Keep contact. Yeah, remember to scan my that code and keep contact, keep the wonderful connection with us.